So there may be countries in Africa where microcredit schemes are the most important things. Other countries, like in Jamaica or like in Europe, it's the formal banking system. What is also a point of concern is about, as you mentioned, transparency and accountability, but also the fact that sometimes...
Let's take a break at this point and we come back to talk about the accountability and transparency issues. Joost Martens is the president of Consumer International, which is headquartered in London, and he is here to participate in a seminar to do with the promotion of consumer protection in the Caribbean project, a project which involves 3 Caribbean countries, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and Barbados. We talk to him more about some of the issues having to do with this project when we come back from this break.
I think our rights are protected. I think the problem is that we are not very aware of what our rights are, and I think that's the weakness in the system.
Things are relatively good in terms of pricing. I mean, for instance, the Minister of Trade, Carl Samuda, has allowed for the publishing of certain information on prices in the Daily Gleaner, so people know where to get cheaper goods as opposed to more expensive goods.
We have a Consumer Affairs Commission who advocates for the consumer. So if we have grouses, we report them to the Consumer Affairs Commission and they deal with them promptly.
Still believe that more can be done. I think maybe the monitoring aspect in terms of certain things are not followed through.
We have many institutions that are supposed to protect our rights, Consumer Affairs Commission, OUR, you name it. But I think the issue is that Jamaicans as a whole don't take advantage of these institutions enough. So businesses get away with a lot because we allow them to.
Welcome back to Issues and Answers. The president of Consumer International, Joost Martens, is here with us, and he's talking principally about the promotion of consumer protection in the Caribbean project, quite a mouthful. And he's telling us how that project will benefit Jamaica and the consumer movement here. You had mentioned the critical issues of accountability and transparency, especially in the financial services sector. That's right. We saw what happened in the United States and in other developed countries last year, the implosion which took place, which highlights the need for greater openness. How do you see this project resulting in benefits? What are some of the concrete benefits that could emerge from this project?
Well, perhaps in general terms, the fact that we expect consumer organizations to play a more important role in the dynamics in society. Because we have to realize that industry is powerful, government plays its role, but if consumer organizations don't play their role in protecting the interest of consumers, then the sector of consumers will be disorganized and unprotected. So working on consumer education and creating awareness with the consumers of their rights and of the organizations that can help them fulfill their rights is a very important step. Now, but that's in general terms. Mm-hmm. In concrete terms, we hope that consumer organizations can be organizations that can demand the banks to be more transparent, more accountable, and be more open. The thing is, I think the banks have to realize that we are in a crisis of trust. Mm-hmm. People don't trust banks anymore after what has happened. There's a lot of distrust and a lot of lack of confidence, not only towards banks. So if banks want to regain that trust and play a role that they can play in society, they have to be transparent, they have to be accountable. So we hope that this project will contribute to improving the relations of accountability and the relations with the consumers.
And the project will also have positive spin-offs for the banks, because in as much as confidence and trust are increased in the banks, then the banks also will be a part of a virtuous circle. So this benefits the banking sector also.
That's what we can expect, I guess, yes. Mm-hmm.
Would you say that the consumer movement, Mr. Martins, over the last decade has been losing its power and impact, or gaining, as you have seen developments in market-driven economies over the last decade? Where would you see the consumer movement in the whole power scale?
We think that the consumer movement has the capacity to really speak up and be vocal. Consumer International next year will exist for 50 years. We'll have our 50th anniversary next year. And with the globalization of the marketplace, we think that also the consumer movement needs to globalize. And so therefore, Consumer International, we are campaigning on global issues that are of interest to consumers in different parts of the world. So the issue of climate change is an issue in which individual countries or individual consumer organizations can't do anything if it's not in the context of a wider grouping. So that's one of the points. The other point is that Consumer International, as an international organization, we have access to the UN, we have access to the specialized agencies.
Yes.
We are accredited with the World Health Organization. We are accredited with the OECD in Paris. So we can represent the interests of our members in the different countries by being present and having a voice in those international bodies.
Do you find that in the marketplace that consumer organizations are having greater power? Are they having less influence today than they had in the 80s and 90s?
It depends. There are different situations. Of course, I think in Europe and the United States, the model of consumer organization of comparative testing and presenting the results in the magazines that they then sell to the consumers is a very powerful tool. And it's powerful in the sense that consumers make use of that to choose which products to buy. Now, in other parts of the world, the issue is not so much about choice, but about access.
That's right.
And so there's a whole different reality. And but trying to the consumer organization trying to be a part of a global movement and of a social movement, I think we are able to lobby governments, yes, and we are able to play a watchdog role as far as the industry is concerned.
And certainly we hope that as a result of the promotion of consumer protection in the Caribbean project, the movement will be strengthened in Jamaica as well as in Barbados and Trinidad. And these are the three countries in which this project will operate. We'll keep you posted here on Issues and Answers about this very important project. Joost Martins, the president of Consumer International, has been our guest. We thank you so much for your presence and for your viewership. Next week we'll be back. Until then, Ian Bourne wishing you a pleasant evening.
And this is where we'll have to close the pages of this edition of Jamaica Magazine. Please do tune in again tomorrow for another informative and interesting edition. And remember, this and other programs can be viewed online at www.jis.gov.jm. While you're at it, give us your feedback at Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the team here at the JIS, I'm Samantha Allen. Have a great day.